Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
And welcome back, everyone. Here we are right around the third week of January. And it's right around this time that it's been said that many people derail on their New Year's resolutions. Sometimes it goes as far as the first week of February. We have these goals. Every year it's usually the same goal, especially with fitness and health, and we derail. Why is that? Why can't we just keep moving it forward and attain those goals? We're going to talk about that today. And she helps people move their lives forward all the time. She's the president and founder of Moving You Forward. She's an amazing life coach, and going to get a lot of insight today from Margaret Enloe, who joins us once again on the program. How you doing today?
I'm good, Steve. I'm good. It's a sunny day, a little cold here in New York City, but hey, I've got a coat when I go out, so it's been an interesting weather-wise start to the year because it has gotten so cold in not just New York City, but
Oh my
in
gosh.
different places, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
so
Florida. Like what? Like down, freeze warnings for like Ocala. And it's even upstate. My son's heading back upstate to college, and we're just sitting there and I'm like, let me look at the weather. I'm like, oh, like 1 degree. Yeah, to be expected, but we know it's going to get warmer. We know that we want to attain certain goals. Did you set any resolutions for yourself?
the only one I set for myself was to spend more time with my husband, and that's because I am quite, let's say, busy with my coaching work and meeting with people, networking, going to the gym. So I have kind of a busy schedule. So that's my goal. But yes, that's my goal.
Hmm. I'm
He doesn't know it, but he doesn't know it.
I don't think I set any resolutions, but it's a different scenario because I believe I shared I'm in a men's group and we set commitments every week.
Uh-huh.
So I could say, my New Year's resolution is go back to the gym, spend more time. That's my weekly commitment, 4 times at the gym, at least an hour at a clip. And then there's other things that come underneath that. Then we also do 90-day goals. Um, and they hold us to it, and it's kind of the same thing when you work with somebody. You're you're making sure that somebody adheres to it. You're walking that journey with them, the
Yeah.
accountability that goes with that. Why do you think that many of us set a goal, call it a resolution, and we derail just a few weeks in?
Just a few weeks in. I think, Steve, it's because the goals are not specific enough. You just were commenting on the goals you're setting with in your men's group. Those sound like they're fairly specific. Hey, you said 4 times at the gym and with your men, it's
Mhm.
something that you're, as I said, specific about, and it's also probably doable. You're not setting unrealistic goals.
Hmm.
Somebody, I remember I had my friend, the trainer Jason Rodriguez speaking.
Yes. Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, he's great, right? And he often makes the distinction between objective goals and behavioral goals. And a lot of objective goals might be, I want to lose weight, I want to save more money, I want to be better at communication. Those are overarching goals. And I, as a coach, am often dealing with clients who come up with these broader goals, and I say, that's fine. But then it's, what are you going to do about that? That's where you get down to the specificity. What
Hmm.
steps are you going to take? So you say to yourself, Steve, I'm going to go to the gym 4 times for an hour each time, more or less. And then I can't remember some of the other ones you mentioned, but those are quite specific. And then you have the group to help hold you accountable. So to answer your question, one, a lot of goals people set are not specific enough.
Hmm.
They're not realistic. They're not with a time around them. I'm going to do something each week. I'm going to do something by June 30th. I'm going to do something 3 times a week, let's say. Um, and they have nobody to help them feel accountable for achieving them. And that's really where a coach can be very handy. But let's say you don't have a coach. You have a group like you've got, or maybe you have a colleague or a friend or a loved one. You explain your goals to them and then they hopefully help you feel accountable for achieving them. But I really do get back to this specificity. There's an acronym which I think you're probably familiar with. Make SMART goals, SMART. So make them specific, measurable.
Measurable.
I want to lose weight. It's often a resolution many people want to make. Well, if you say, fine, how much weight? I want to lose 30 pounds in the next 6 months. This is going to be useful to me because I will fit into the clothes that I've had in my closet for a long time. And it's something that's achievable. You're not saying I want to lose 50 pounds in the next 2 months, right? That's not achievable unless you're doing really dumb things. So it's setting these SMART goals, and it's an acronym that's been used. I think some man developed it maybe back in the 60s, and it still has a lot of relevance. The SMART goals, though, do not incorporate the concept of what's going to make you accountable. And that's where, hey, having some accountability to someone other than yourself is very helpful to making sure your SMART goals are achieved.
I feel when you get more specific, you can sway a little bit in terms of the realistic part of it. So, for example, I want to lose weight. That's my New Year's resolution. I'm going to go to the gym. Okay, great. Now, when you start getting specific, I want to lose 25 pounds. Okay. But maybe it's not realistic in a time frame you're thinking. Um, I also want to do this with you. So, along with the resolution, I've heard about this and I've done it myself. The word of the year, the
Mhm.
word of the year. So I'm not saying you shouldn't have goals and resolutions, but what word would pilot your year? And I believe the best way to figure that out is look at last year and what that word would have been. So, and they say everything is manifestation and what you think becomes. So this word that you pick for this year, put it on post-it notes everywhere, think it all the time. For me last year, I thought about this. I would say my word was discovery. I learned some things
Mhm.
in different areas about myself, about others, and such. Resilience was bubbling under as a word, but I would put that the year before. And then
Yeah.
this year, for me, it would be execution. I've got things floating out here, but I haven't fully moved them forward and got to execute them. Got to get it done. Got to, that is the goal. Execute it. What would your word of the year for 2025 be, Margaret? What do you think?
It's a great concept. I would probably say thrive.
Hmm.
And there are forces in the world right now and in our nation which make it a little harder for some of us to feel like we're going to thrive. But I think I actually had a neighbor who, I'll give her credit, that was her word, but it resonated with me
Hmm.
as something a little bit to counter what I for myself fear I may not be as optimistic about.
Well, even what you said before, your New Year's resolution, spend more time with your husband. I'm going to say that's part of thriving, where you're enjoying life. You're taking intentional time to do things. And we can all say, work hard, play hard. Okay, well, do it. Are you really doing it? It sounds like you are doing it, and that's part of thriving. And I gotta believe that maybe last year that word for this year comes out of just working a lot. You got a lot going on, and then you turn after months or the year, and you're like, well, what did I do? Yeah, I did a lot, but did I feel like I was fulfilled in enjoying life fully? And that sounds like where you're at.
It is, I think, more where I'm at. I'm actually, in that regard, Steve, um, planning to go to Southeast Asia in February
Wow.
with my husband and spend some time there and meet up with some friends that we have in Thailand. They live in Bangkok. And in fact, another friend of ours said, "Oh, I want to come too," because she knows this friend in Bangkok. So she's flying over to rendezvous with us in Bangkok, and
Wow.
or some of Thailand together. So it'll be a nice trip.
Yeah, that's thriving.
That's
That's it.
driving. That's
Yeah,
driving.
that's nice. I have a friend, a very close friend, who took her daughters on a whim to Paris, and they're there right now. And it was just a last minute thing before one of them goes back to school. And she's like, I don't even know if I should be doing this, and she just did it. And you know what? Life is short, and she knows it.
Life is short, and doing something like that is going to create an amazing memory
Yeah.
for your friend and their daughters because, in part, it was so out of the blue and unplanned. Probably, let's just do this,
Oh,
and
week's notice. Like I'm not even kidding. Like me, she was planning it a week in advance.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, there's something to be said about that. A little bit of spontaneity.
spontaneous.
How about other thoughts on in goal setting? Now we're talking about resolutions, but in by and large, it's we have goals. So whether it's a resolution or just want to get something done, what's the best way to set the intention to get a goal done?
Well, first, it's really thinking about, well, what is that goal? And a lot of times people don't spend the time to really think about it like the way you've done it. You've come up with the word execute for 2025. And how long did it take you to come up with that word for this year?
Truth be told, this concept of the word of the year, the person that told me about it, execution was their word. And I tried to come up with another word that fit, but
Yep.
I couldn't because it so fits. And like I said, I thought of resilience because I believe in the last few years of my journey, that does describe me, but that's probably 3 years ago, and doesn't fit. And execution, it's not that I'm dragging my butt. I have these things are, in place, but need to be moved forward, need to be moved forward. Just needs just a nudge. I need to execute them. So that word fit me. I couldn't find a better one.
And then I think you said, I'm putting reminders up around maybe Post-its.
Yeah.
So just to answer your question, one is, hey, spending the time, it may be 2 minutes or 2 hours or 2 days, 2 weeks, coming up with that goal and being intentional about it. And then again, being specific about what that is. I can't overemphasize that. And then people are different. Somebody like you, maybe it's enough just to have a word. You look at that word, and that helps remind you of what you want to, from an 80,000-foot perspective, accomplish this year. You want to execute. But underneath that, you have clarity, it sounds like, around at least 50 to 75% of what you want to execute on.
Mm.
I doubt you wake up and you say, I've got nothing to execute on today. I really can just go relax. Probably every
No,
day
no, Margaret, I need to thrive
you
like
just
you.
you
Yeah.
thrive in your execution. But for some people, it may be enough just to have a weekly conversation with someone.
Yes.
Some people are more organized than other people. Some people like journaling. They journal every day. They have done that for 10 years. Other people, they say, no, I really don't like journaling. But for some people, journaling about what they're going to do or how they've uh, achieved or work on their particular goal each day might be really useful for them, or each week. And so, again, there's no one answer. It really depends on the person. Let's say somebody that wants to lose weight and they have been specific about their goal. They may lose some steam over the first 3 months of the year. And so, if they really are wanting to lose that weight and they understand why it's beneficial to them, losing weight, okay, great. But why is it beneficial to them to have that goal? And they've thought about that. They say, oh yeah, 3 months comes, they've started going to the gym maybe only 2 times a week, maybe one time a week. And they think, well, gee, it was really going to help my health, uh, decrease my chances of some illness, disease that my parents had. And maybe that's enough to motivate them to get back on track. But the reality is, Stephen, as you pointed out in the very beginning of this discussion, nonetheless, no matter what we say here today, there are going to be many people that fall off and don't pursue their goals. And the statistics say that come December, there's about 1% of the people who have established a goal who can say, yep, I stuck with that goal.
Yep.
And 22% of the people can say it after 2 or 3 months, 22%. So that's why the gyms now are full of people.
Yep.
And we know starting end of February, many of those people, they've paid their dues, but many of those people aren't going anymore. So unfortunately, there's no one thing or even three things that I could articulate here today that would say that's the answer. It really depends on the person.
One thing you said, and I think it's essential, is write it down. So many of us just put it in our head. Yeah, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to go for an hour, whatever it is. You need to write it down. And I do when in that group that I'm in, and I set my commitment for the week.
Yeah.
I have to text it in a group chat. So now it's documented. So
Document.
I've written it down in a way, typed it. Technically better, as we've talked about before, physically writing it down. The hand-mind connection is very powerful. But you need to, it's almost like, a business plan. You don't just start a business. Yeah, all right, I'm going to go buy some furniture. No, you've thought about it. You've looked at it at different angles. You need to write it down so it does exist outside of your mind. Critical. I think that's critical.
I mean, in the business context, there are so many people, entrepreneurs or big businesses, and they want, what do they want? A lot of times they want to increase revenue, increase sales. Well, that's all well and good, but writing it down and then again, well, how are we going to go about that? What's our plan for the next week, for the next month? How much do we want to increase sales by? With whom and how will we do that? And many companies are very good at that. Doesn't necessarily mean they achieve it, but they're good at being focused on the specifics. But as we get down to individuals with our individual living better kind of goals, they become a little easier to ignore as time goes along.
So I'm thinking about the intention that you put into it. Um, is there a way to change your mindset that you stay with the goal? Is there anything that, in the way we think of things, or is it come right down to reward yourself, even if it's just praise? I went to the gym. I did it. The next day I did it. To me, everything that we're talking about here is a habit. You gotta create a habit. You have bad habits, create good habits. And like, for example, going to the gym. Sometimes I'll go and I'm like, all right, gotta push on. Yes. But if I don't go, I feel like I cheated myself.
Mhm.
And on the flip side of that, and I've created this habit late at night before I go to bed, I'll open up the refrigerator and I'll put a spoon into something and just eat it. And it's bad. Like it's just sitting in your stomach for 8 hours, 7 hours, whatever it is. Bad habit. I created that. I have to get off of that. I know where it came from, not even worth talking about. But it's a habit. So whatever we do you feel they need to, in a positive way, they need to be habits?
It's super helpful if it becomes a habit, but many of these things, in my view, don't easily become habits. It's just something we need to do. We've talked about going to the gym. Yeah, going to the gym, going out for a run, going for a walk, walking your dog. Well, walking your dog, forget that. You have to walk your dog if you live in New York City. You have to do it.
Well, okay, now hold on there. You could, yeah, I have to walk my dog. At the moment, I don't have a backyard. I'm in between homes. Um, you could take longer to walk your dog,
True.
and get the benefits of the exercise, grounding, being in nature, even if it's cold out, not an excuse. I use that one all the time. But you could create it, maybe the habit, be intentional about spending more time.
You could be intentional about that. But you mentioned a while ago rewards, and I think rewards have their part in being more successful at achieving your goals. And I can reflect back on a time decades ago, Steve, when my sister and I were out of college, we were trying to lose some weight. And we didn't have this idea of the SMART goals in mind, but we created a calendar. And our reward, if we did whatever we were supposed to do back then, I don't know, was to put a gold star on that day. And seeing those gold stars mount up is like, oh, good. You see physically with your eyeballs, yes, I've done what I said I'm going to do. And
Mm.
that starts building some momentum, which is very helpful. People who, um, let's say they want to stop using as much foul language might be a goal. It'd be a good goal for a lot of people. And if they get through the day and they haven't used too many, they can put something in a jar. Uh, or if they've no, maybe if they have used foul language or they've spent too much money, pick whatever it might be. If they have not done what they want to do, they have to put $5 into a pot and or a glass jar. And they see this mounting up and they say, well, that's not the idea, but it's a physical, something physical that they can observe, look at, and be reminded of their goal. So one is a positive, one's negative. And you can say, put money into a jar, and my cousin, my brother, my so-and-so gets to use that money for what they want. I'm giving it away. And a lot of people said, no, 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 I don't want to put any more $5 bills in that jar or single dollar bills because no, I'm not giving my money away because I've not done something I know I need to do. So that's a negative reward or a positive reward, but it can be a fairly forceful motivator.
I love it. And even as something as simple as the gold star, if we don't see it, it doesn't really exist. And it's sometimes it's hard to trace back your progress. You think back maybe, I don't know, 6 months, where you were then, where you are now. Sometimes it comes clear. Wow, wow, I really moved it forward. But maybe you're not seeing it. We need the physical proof, or else it doesn't exist. We're very visual. So I think the gold star is actually simple, but a great idea to prove that when you see them all adding up, wow, then if it's, yeah, maybe you had one day you didn't get a gold star, but you picked up 4 days after that.
Yeah,
I think that's very powerful.
very good. I'm glad you like that one.
Yeah, I gotta start doing it. Like even on your Google Calendar, put something down there to note that, yep, went to the gym, checking that box off. I went.
Ways of electronically giving yourself that gold star. It doesn't have to be anything, but you can physically see it on your iPhone or your mobile device.
I agree. I'm more even though I love technology, embrace all of it. A lot of that stuff I go old school.
Cool.
They have vision boards for your future to manifest. You can look at it on your phone, but it's not going to have the same effect as when you're at work and you look up against the wall and you see it every hour of every day. And what is it? Just pictures you printed out or ripped out of a magazine of things that are your goals. But, I want that car. I want that house. And your mind will eventually work you towards it. But it's visual. Once again, it's visual.
Come to think of it, just quickly, most of us, or many of us, have photographs of people that are important to us. Even Biden, you can see right behind his resolute desk. You see pictures of his family.
Mm.
You can see you have pictures of your family. I have pictures of my family. These are people that are meaningful to us. So again, in the context of setting a goal, one could arguably say, instead of a post-it, I'm going to frame something that is meaningful to me, that really speaks to me, and put it, instead of Elvis Presley, I'm going to put something else that I have to look at. And maybe it's the word execute every day when I'm at my desk.
Well, yes, that's happening. I haven't done it yet. I have to put literally post-it notes I'm going to put up, maybe even just a big word. But what we see becomes reality and things we appreciate. Side note, talk about things on the wall. I needed an answer for something. And I knew it was there, but I wasn't getting it. Like, what is the answer? I'm driving my car 1 mile, 1.5 miles from here, stopped at a stop sign, and a song, Let It Be, dropped into my head. I'm like, well, that's odd. Why am I hearing that? Well, if you listen to the song, there will be an answer. Let it be. I walk through the door here, not more than, 2 minutes later, phone rings. It was the answer I needed. So,
Yes. Oh,
and the lyrics to that song are up on the wall in the office next door. Because
good.
I pilot by that, but yeah, visually stuff around you, sometimes we forget that it's there, but it's there, it's making a mark on us.
Right.
And yeah, to your point, I've got, pictures around. Why not make it my goals? A vision board, trip to Paris, whatever it might be. For you, As professional of the year, if somebody wants to work with you, on the coaching level and have the accountability for all of this, what we're talking about, the goals, how do we connect with you?
Steve, you can connect with me through my LinkedIn profile or on my website, which is margaretenloe.com.
Simple as that. Start a conversation. We all have goals,
Yeah.
and your friends and family aren't going to be the ones that move you forward. They'll help, but they're not the ones that are going to hold the mirror up to you and get it done.
Like Michael Jackson's song, right?
Man in the mirror.
The mirror. You're the one that
Exactly.
has to make it happen.
Exactly right. Margaret, great talking with you today. I don't know if we're going to talk before you go away. If not, have a great trip, but
Thank you.
and thrive. Love that.
Right,
Love
very
that.
good.
All right.
Nice to see you, Steve.
We'll catch up soon. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.